would you turn to Zechariah chapter 12? I want to look at this little chapter of the Bible, which predicts Israel's final conflict and salvation. One thing about witnessing to people is that you need never worry about whether or not people should believe the Bible, because every single day the prophecies of the Hebrew prophets and of Jesus and the apostles are being fulfilled. I can remember when I first became a Christian that we all believed that Jesus was coming back, but every once in a great while something would happen that would say, we could look at our Bible and say, wow, that's right out of the prophets. I'd say once a year or twice a year or something like that. Something radical would happen and we could all interpret it. That is a plain fulfillment of prophecy. And the ironic thing is that back then everybody believed that Jesus was coming. But here we are 30 years later, and every single day the headlines are screaming out the specifics of these Hebrew prophets. Think about the Hebrew prophets, they're specific. They're very specific. They're filled with the Holy Spirit. I mean, the Spirit of God was in them. And they spelled out what's happening. Every single day, things are happening that are fulfilling these prophecies. And I've never seen such a time where so many Christians were completely oblivious to it, apathetic about it. I just didn't think 30 years ago that it was going to be like this. You know, I really didn't think that. I thought people would be on the edge. But I should have known from the parable of the 10 virgins that everyone would basically go to sleep, you know. And then whoever woke up, you know, even whether or not you go to sleep wasn't going to be a determining factor, because it is hard to hold anticipation for 30 years. But everyone was going to go to sleep, and then when they woke up, the only determining factor is who had understanding or not. Okay, that's the oil. The light is for the lamp. Who had understanding or not? See, when the time comes in the parable where the bridegroom, they say the bridegroom comes. See, it's a big long wait and nothing happens for a long time. But then once they say the bridegroom's coming, then everything starts happening like that. And the people that didn't have understanding couldn't get it. They couldn't get it, remember? They said, why don't you give me some of your oil? It's not transferable. So buy the truth and sell it not. Now's the time to buy the truth and sell it not. Well, anyway, that's not my sermon. That was all free, okay? Zechariah 12, I'm going to read the whole chapter. The burden of the word of the Lord for Israel, saith the Lord, which stretcheth forth the heavens and lays the foundation of the earth, and forms the spirit of man within him. Behold, I'll make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in siege, both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. In that day, saith the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness. And I will open my eyes on the house of Judah, and will smite every horse of the people with blindness. And the governors of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength, and the Lord of hosts their God. In that day will I make the governors of Judah like a hearth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheaf. And they shall devour all the people round about, on the right hand and on the left. And Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications. And they shall look on me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one mourns for his only son, and they will be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. In that day shall there be great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of Hadad-Drimmon in the valley of Megiddo. And the land shall mourn, every family apart, the family of the house of David apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Nathan apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart, the family of Shimei apart, and their wives apart, all the families that remain, every family apart, and their wives apart. And then the next verse goes with this. In that day shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness. Fantastic. That's the future, but the final conflict of Jerusalem. See, notice verse 1. He says that he says it, the word of the Lord, and he says it by the creating and sustaining power of the Lord. Okay? The word of the Lord for Israel, saith the Lord, who, and it's literally continuously stretches out the heavens and continuously lays the foundation of the earth and continuously forms the spirit of man within him. It's by that Lord's word that this word comes. Behold, I'll make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they will be in siege, both against Judah and against Jerusalem. Okay, Jerusalem is, as you know, because you're Christians, this is a unique city, okay? What makes it unique? This is the city where God actually put his name. Okay, this is now see what's amazing about this, you know this theologically, you've heard this for years, and all Christians know it, and we even have Jerusalem in our songs and everything like that. But you see this name in the newspaper all the time now, okay? This is a unique city. After all, there's not going to be a heavenly Cairo or a heavenly Nashville or a heavenly New York. There literally will be a heavenly Jerusalem. This is a very important city. And that's a huge, important name. 800 plus times it's in the Bible. And then there's other forms of it, like Zion and things like that. You see Zion? Zion is the name of the center of Jerusalem, which is a holy mountain where the temple was. That the rabbis, I think rightly, used to say that the center of the world is Israel, and the center of Israel is Jerusalem, and the center of Jerusalem is the holy mountain where the temple was. If you think about what God actually did on Jerusalem, and this is before the coming of Jesus Christ, God himself descended and lived in a place in Jerusalem. He set up his throne. It's the city of the great king. Remember this, the song, which is Psalm 48. Great is the Lord and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, on the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth, is Mount Zion on the sides of the north, the city of the great king. This is no ordinary city, right? Now, you might not be impressed if you go there today. There's a gay rights march there recently, okay? But the book of Revelation says that Jerusalem in the last days would be called Sodom and Egypt. So, but this city is no insignificant thing here, okay? And you know, in fact, I'll read a psalm to you, a portion of a psalm, Psalm 132. We'll go back to Zechariah, but Psalm 132. See, I really want to take a minute and cause you to think about it. You know, this is one incredible place, and it's important to God. It's all over the verse, all over the Bible. He says, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Literally, God tells you to pray for the peace of that city. He didn't say pray for the peace of Cedar Rapids. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May all those who love her prosper. There's a blessing on whoever loves Jerusalem. Psalm 123, or Psalm 132, verse 13. The Lord hath chosen Zion. He desired it for his habitation. You know, when they dedicated the temple, Solomon had a beautiful prayer that he made to God. One of the things he says is, do you really live in there? God can't be contained in a temple. You really live there? The heavens aren't big enough for you to live in. But it says right here, the Lord chose that place for his habitation. This is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I've desired it. Amazing.